Welcome to the deep dive. Our mission here is always to cut through the noise, get you really informed on topics that, well, they might seem complex, but honestly, they're packed with surprising facts and some real opportunities. Today, we're doing a deep dive into something pretty crucial for property owners, especially if you've got agricultural buildings, maybe large roof spaces. We're talking about how to get to maximum energy self-sufficiency.
Yeah, and the source material we're digging into today, it's from an expert presentation. This person's known as a climate coach,
Right.
essentially an engineer with more than 20 years deep in the energy sector. And the focus is squarely on practical solutions, importantly, product-neutral ones.
That's key, isn't it? Not pushing one brand over another.
Exactly. It's about finding a clear path, a strategy for, genuine energy independence for your specific property.
So that's our goal today. We want to unpack let's be honest, the big challenges, but also the massive opportunities when you shift from just consuming energy the old way to a future where your own property is generating, storing, and using its own power for everything: electricity, heating, maybe even mobility.
Yeah.
And I think this is the critical point right up front. There's no one-size-fits-all answer here.
Definitely not.
It's about building what our expert calls a custom-tailored solution, or the German term they used was Massenzug, a bespoke suit, essentially.
Precisely. And if we look at the energy landscape, particularly for property owners, it's changed so dramatically. It's a fundamental shift.
How so? Give us a sense of that change.
Well, think about the past. Solar electricity, right? Not that long ago, we saw feed-in tariffs. The money you got for sending power back to the grid up around 50, maybe even 54 cents per kilowatt hour.
Wow, 54 cents.
Yeah, it was a really good deal back then to feed power in.
Okay, that's a stark contrast to what people are looking at now if they're considering solar, right? What's the deal today?
Today, well, the rates are way down. You're looking at maybe 4 to 8 cents per kilowatt hour. It varies a bit with the market price,
4 to 8 cents. Okay.
Now, compare that to what you actually pay when you buy electricity from the grid.
Yeah.
That's often, 30, maybe 40 cents per kilowatt hour?
Right, easily.
So you see the huge difference. It just doesn't make financial sense anymore to prioritize feeding your excess power back. The core idea now, the principle, has got to be every single kilowatt hour you produce, it belongs in your building. Use it yourself.
Okay, so the whole economic game has flipped. It's not about selling back anymore. It's all about using every bit you generate.
Well, absolutely.
And that brings us, especially for those farms, those agricultural operations, to what our expert calls this three-pack of major energy challenges they're facing.
That's right. So challenge number one, the rising cost of electricity itself. We just touched on that.
Yeah.
Then you've got oil and gas prices. Now, for many agricultural properties, they're actually a bit ahead here. Lots of them already use wood-based heating systems.
Okay, so that helps hedge against those costs.
It does, yeah. It gives them some insulation from those specific price hikes.
So heating is often maybe less of a pressing issue for some. But what about the third challenge? You said it might be the most critical, especially with farm vehicles involved.
That's diesel fuel prices.
Yeah.
And the big driver there is the CO2 tax.
Ah, yes. The CO2 tax.
Implemented back in 2021 in Germany, aimed at cutting carbon emissions. It's not brand new, but its impact is definitely ramping up.
How much impact are we talking?
Well, take 2024. That tax added about 14 cents per liter of diesel. That's based on a CO2 price of 45 euros a ton.
Okay, 14 cents extra per liter just from the tax.
And it's set to rise. For 2025, the projection is 17 cents per liter as the CO2 price goes up to 55 euros a ton.
So that's a direct hit to the running costs right now and looking further out.
It gets potentially much more significant. From 2027, there's this EU-wide CO2 emissions trading system coming in.
Right.
And the estimates are that could push the price per ton of CO2 somewhere between maybe 200 euro and 300.
200 to 300 euros per ton.
Yeah. Our experts' take on this is pretty blunt. Diesel, quote, will become really expensive.
Wow. Okay, that sounds like a massive hurdle, especially for agriculture. But you framed this earlier as an opportunity. How does that work?
Absolutely. Because this is where you, as a property owner, can actually become a winner in this whole shift.
Ow.
By generating your own electricity and using it for e-mobility. Think electric farm vehicles, loaders, that kind of thing. You directly sidestep those rising fuel costs.
So you're basically converting what looks like a market penalty, the CO2 tax, into your own strategic advantage by producing your own fuel electricity.
Precisely. You turn a disadvantage on its head.
That's a really powerful way to look at it. Okay, so the old ways aren't working. The economics has shifted. How do we actually build this energy Masanzig, this custom solution? Let's unpack that approach. It's obviously more than just, whacking some solar panels on the roof.
And much more. It has to be integrated. For real independence, you need 4 essential parts working together, like a well-oiled machine.
Okay, what are the 4?
You've got energy production, energy storage, energy consumers, and then the jewel in the crown, as our expert calls it, the energy manager.
All right, let's start with production. What falls under that?
Well, for electricity, it's primarily PV, photovoltaic systems, solar panels, basically. And again, that mantra, every kilowatt hour belongs in the building. Use it yourself first.
Right. Keep it in-house.
And there's heat production. And here, buffer storage tanks are incredibly valuable, especially if you have wood heating already.
Buffer storage. Like big hot water tanks.
Exactly. A typical 1,000-liter tank, for instance, can hold about 50 kilowatt hours of energy. It acts like a heat battery. It stores the heat.
Okay, so you're storing heat, not just electricity. How does that tie into the PV?
This is where it gets clever.
Mm-hmm.
You use something called power to heat. When your PV system is generating excess electricity, more than you need right then.
Yeah.
Instead of feeding that tiny amount back to the grid for pennies, you divert it to an immersion heater in your buffer tank. You heat your water with that free solar electricity.
Ah, I see. So your heating essentially becomes free during sunny periods.
Pretty much. And this often means your main wood heating system. You might not even need to fire it up for months, say from Easter through to October, potentially.
That's a huge saving in fuel and effort.
Definitely. And then you've also got heat pumps as another option. They're great because they multiply the energy use, 1 kilowatt of electricity, to get maybe 4 kilowatts of heat out.
Right, the coefficient of performance.
Exactly. And you can even look at hybrid systems, using the best heat source depending on the season. It's all about optimizing.
Okay, that production side, especially linking electricity and heat, sounds really smart. But, the sun doesn't shine 247, so storage must be critical.
Absolutely fundamental. If you want maximum self-sufficiency, you have to bridge the gaps. Nighttime, cloudy days, bad weather stretches, that's where storage comes in.
And we're talking 2 types of storage here.
Yes. You've got electricity storage, that's your batteries. They're mainly for bridging through the summer nights and, the shoulder seasons, spring and autumn. And then you've got heat storage, which is primarily those buffer tanks we just talked about. And you can stack them, have multiple tanks to really increase your heat storage capacity.
Got it.
Both types, battery and heat storage, they are absolutely crucial for keeping that energy you produced on your property ready for you to use when you need it.
Okay, produced it, stored it,
Mm-hmm.
now using it. The energy consumers, what are we talking about there on a typical farm property?
Well, all the standard stuff, of course.
Yeah.
Milking machines, cooling systems for milk or produce.
Right, the operational basics.
Yeah. But then, crucially, as we discussed with the diesel costs, things like electric farm loaders,
Yeah.
other agricultural e-mobility options as they become available. That's a big consumer you can power yourself.
And planning for this is key, I imagine.
Oh, absolutely critical. You need a detailed assessment of all your electricity consumers when you're designing the system. How much do they use? When do they use it? Because that's the only way you can create that truly custom-tailored system, the Mossensig, that perfectly matches your actual energy demands. You size it right.
This all sounds, complex to manage in real time. Getting the PV, the storage, the heating, the vehicle charging, all working together efficiently. There must be some kind of brain coordinating all this, that jewel you mentioned.
That's exactly it, the energy manager. Think of it as a sophisticated little computer, often integrated right into modern battery storage systems. And it uses artificial intelligence.
AI, okay. What does it actually do?
Its first job is to learn. Over about 6 weeks, usually it monitors everything your household electricity use, your farm operations, your EV charging patterns if you have them. It builds a complete energy profile of your property.
Learns how you use energy, and then
Then it gets really clever, connects to the internet and pulls in dynamic electricity tariffs, prices that change throughout the day.
like the time of use rates.
Exactly, but often even more dynamic than that. So it knows when grid electricity is cheap, maybe overnight, or even when prices go negative.
Negative prices, how does that happen?
It happens when there's just a massive amount of renewable energy on the grid. Lots of wind, lots of solar, maybe biomass too, more than the demand at that moment. The price can dip below zero temporarily.
Crazy. So the manager sees this.
Yes, and it intelligently decides, okay, Grid power is super cheap right now, or even free. Let's top up the battery from the grid.
Hmm.
Or conversely, grid prices are peaking. Let's maximize using our stored solar power and avoid buying expensive electricity.
Wow.
And it gets even smarter. It pulls in weather forecasts, looking maybe 5 days ahead.
Seriously?
Yeah, so if it sees brilliant sunshine predicted for tomorrow, it might hold off fully charging the battery from the grid tonight, knowing it can fill up for free from the solar panels tomorrow.
That is incredibly sophisticated.
It is. It's all about optimizing, charging, discharging, making sure you get the maximum benefit from your own system, and protecting you from those high peak prices on the grid.
Yeah.
It really empowers the owner. It lets you be that winner we talked about.
Okay, that theory sounds amazing. The 4 pillars, the smart manager. But let's ground this. Can you share some real-world examples? Where have these concepts actually been put into practice? This is where it gets really interesting, I think.
Definitely. Okay, first example. That's what's called repowering. An old PV system installed ages ago purely for feeding into the grid on a least stable roof.
Okay, one of those original high-tariff systems.
Exactly. But the problem was it was 20 years old. The technology was dated. It had lost about 50% of its efficiency. It just wasn't producing like it used to.
Degradation over time.
Yeah. So the solution was pretty neat. They kept the existing mounting structure on the roofs, the substructure. They just took off the old inefficient modules and replaced them with brand new, modern, much more efficient ones. Same roof area, same structure. But they effectively doubled the potential power output. Went from, say, 60 kilowatt, that's kilowatt peak, the max power rating,
Right.
up to 120 kilowatt.
Right.
Double the power in the same footprint.
Just by swapping the panels. And the result?
The result was huge.
Yeah.
The upgraded system produced 130,000 kilowatt hours per year, all for feed-in under whatever the current tariff was. And the payback time, the amortization period, was calculated at just 8 years. That's based on a 10-cent per kilowatt-hour feed-in tariff, which might be optimistic now, but still.
Still, 8 years on an upgrade like that is pretty good. It shows you can breathe new life into old assets.
Exactly. A smart way to leverage what you already have and boost the economics.
Okay, great example of optimizing an existing feed-in system. What about a scenario focused more on that self-consumption goal?
Right. Second example. This one's more detailed. A proper staged plan for a property really aiming high on self-consumption.
Okay.
So the starting point. They had a PV system from 2004, about 30 kilowatts, still working okay. Then, in 2019, they added another 30-kilowatt system, this one specifically geared towards using the power themselves.
So 60 kilowatt total, but installed at different times with different goals initially.
Correct. And their really ambitious goal was to hit 100% self-consumption of their own electricity by January 1st, 2025.
Wow, 100%. How did they integrate it all?
Well, they took out the original, older inverters. They installed a new, modern hybrid storage system, so batteries included. And critically, it had that smart energy manager built in.
Ah, the Joule.
The Joule, yes. And this new system connected both PV arrays, the old 2004 one, and the newer 2019 one, bringing them together. Plus, they integrated power to heat for their existing wood heating system's buffer tank.
Okay, so really pulling all the pieces together. Old PV, new PV, storage, heat, and the smart controls.
Exactly. That integration allowed their wood heating to stay off pretty much from Easter through to October, just running on solar heated water.
That's fantastic. Okay, the setup sounds impressive. What about the numbers? The results, this is the exciting part.
The results are pretty stunning. The whole combined system generates around 60,000 kilowatt hours of electricity per year.
60,000. Okay. How much did they actually use?
Right. So of that 60,000 kilowatt-hours, about 18,000 kilowatt-hours were used directly as they were generated for running the farm, the house, etc.
Okay, direct consumption.
Another 17,000 kilowatt-hours went into charging the battery storage.
Stored for later use. So that's 18 plus 17 plus 17 used either directly or via the battery.
Precisely. Which
Right.
means, wait for it, they achieved an energy self-sufficiency rate of 83%.
83%. That is, well, our expert apparently called it insane, and yeah, that's phenomenal.
It really is an incredible result, hugely reducing their reliance on grid electricity.
But wait, 83% is amazing, but it's not 100%. So if they used 35,000 kilowatt-hours out of the 60,000 they generated, there's still leftover power, right?
Exactly. That's the immediate next question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Even at 83% self-sufficiency, this property still had an excess of 25,000 kilowatt hours per year that was just being fed back into the grid, likely for those low rates.
25,000 kilowatt-hours of effectively free energy after meeting 83% of their needs. So what could they do with that?
Well, this is where you see the massive potential, especially linking back to those diesel costs, that surplus 25,000 kilowatt hour.
Yeah.
It could power an electric farm loader for nearly 2,000 hours a year,
Hmm.
1984 hours to be exact, completely free of charge using their own solar power.
Wow. And what does that mean in terms of diesel saved?
That's equivalent to avoiding the use of about 6,150 liters of diesel fuel.
6,000 liters. Given the rising CO2 tax, that's a huge saving.
Massive. And just for another perspective, roughly half of that surplus energy, maybe 12,500 kilowatt-hours, that could power an electric SUV for about 50,000 kilometers a year. Again, totally free fuel.
Okay, this really drives home that opportunity perspective we talked about earlier with the CO2 pricing.
Yeah.
Self-sufficiency isn't just about cutting your electricity bill. It's about directly replacing increasingly expensive fossil fuels like diesel for your vehicles or farm equipment.
It's a direct countermeasure. Now, getting to absolute 100% self-sufficiency year-round is, admittedly, very difficult with current tech. You'd likely need future solutions like maybe hydrogen storage for long-term seasonal shifting.
Right, bridging those long winter gaps.
But achieving 80%, even 85% self-sufficiency, that's a highly realistic and incredibly valuable goal for many properties right now.
Okay, this is all incredibly motivating. So let's bring it back to you, the listener. What does this all mean for your own situation? How do you start down this path towards energy independence given everything we've discussed?
Well, I think the absolute crucial starting point is the need for expert planning.
Planning, not just installation.
Exactly.
Ah.
Our expert made a point of contrasting proper planning with just being a, quote, PD screw fitter,
Yeah.
as someone who just knows how to bolt panels onto a roof but doesn't take that holistic view.
Right, doesn't look at the heating, the storage, the future mobility needs.
Precisely. You really need to find a true expert, someone who can properly plan, then build, and also provide that long-term support for the whole integrated project covering your heat, your electricity, and your future mobility plans.
Okay, so finding the right partner is key. What are the first actionable steps someone should take?
The very first step, honestly. It's mental. It's deciding what you actually want. Do you just want a simple feed-in system to make a bit of money back? Or are you aiming for an own consumption system, targeting that maximum possible self-sufficiency?
Get clear on your own goal first.
Yes, that clarity is fundamental because the approach is totally different.
Makes sense. Then what?
Then, strongly consider that staged plan approach we saw in the example. You don't have to do everything at once.
Yeah.
Maybe start by installing a system size to meet your current electricity consumption needs. Get the PV and maybe the initial battery storage right.
Stage one.
Yeah. Then maybe in stage 2, say in 4 or 5 years, you integrate mobility, you get an EV, or you look at electrifying some farm equipment. The system can be designed from the start to accommodate that future expansion. Good planning always looks ahead.
So plan for the future, even if you're implementing in stages.
Absolutely. And another key tip, try to separate the planning phase from the actual realization, the building phase.
Oh, you mean?
Well, the planning stage is where you can explore all the options, run the numbers, figure out the best Masanzuk for you without having to commit huge amounts of money up front. Get the plan right first.
Okay, so invest in good planning before you invest in the hardware.
Yes. And that comes back to finding that trusted partner, whether it's a dedicated planner, a really forward-thinking electrician, or an installation company that genuinely thinks holistically about your whole property as one big energy project.
That term energy project really captures it, doesn't it? It's not just installing components, it's designing a whole system.
Yeah.
Well, this deep dive has definitely shown that, yes, the energy world is shifting, costs are rising, but there are really clear practical solutions out there. There are definite chances for perspective, as our source put it, to gain significant control over your energy future.
And it reinforces that key message.
Yeah.
Every property is unique. Every property needs its own Masanzug, its own custom-tailored energy solution. There's no single blueprint.
Absolutely. So maybe a final thought for you, our listener, to mull over. How might the future of energy really change if every building, especially those farms and businesses with those big roofs, became its own active, dynamic energy project, transforming not just how we consume power, but how we heat our buildings, how we move around, turning every single kilowatt hour into a strategic asset, not just a cost?
That's a powerful vision.
It is. So we really encourage you to maybe start thinking about your own planning journey, figuring out what your unique vision of energy self-sufficiency could look like.